It's my third time making this video. What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about, are you being needy, or is this guy just a scared little bitch? Okay, now, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Just click the red button below. I will love you forever, but not as much as the ladies who click that bell notification, which gives my videos to you right away. Notification. You get my videos right away, right when they come out, okay? So, why am I making this video? I have had plenty of clients come to me thinking they did something needy, right? You know, it's always caused from she does something, and then the effect of it is the guy pulls away. So she automatically assumes she's needy. But I'm here not to be a white knight, because I can be pretty harsh. I'm a realist, trust me. But I don't think a lot of women are as needy or as clingy as they think they are. And I'm going to explain that through the perception I go through, or the things I go through in terms of perception and perspectives of a dating coach, and, you know, with a little bit of evolutionary psychology. I really don't think women are as bad as there's some women who I talk to, I'm like, no, you did nothing wrong. This guy's just a scared little bitch, and he's manipulating and he's blaming it on you. And that's what I want to go over in this video. So first off, I say this all the time. I said it in my last 3 videos, probably, maybe 2. I know I said it recently. There's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to date a guy, to see a guy, to hook up with a guy, to text a guy, to want to, initiate. There's nothing wrong, wanting a relationship and things like that. Nothing wrong with that, okay? It only becomes a red flag when it's taken to the extreme. Like and there's big jumps or leaps, such as in a short amount of time. So you're talking about intensity over time, right? If the intensity is fast or the time is short, there's a problem. And, that means if you're seeing him 1 time a week and then you want to jump to 5 times, that's going to trigger something in the guy's head, right? Especially if his perspective is, I don't want a relationship. Or if you go from texting a little bit to texting a lot, or you're just intense and you're texting a lot over a long period of time, again, that you might want to slow that down. However, if you look at sexual strategies, or mating strategies from a woman's perspective, it's not advised. Now, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm talking about from an evolutionary perspective. It's not advised that you go around hooking up with a bunch of guys, because you can get this. Again, evolutionary perspective, ladies, do whatever the hell you want. Sad I have to throw that disclaimer in there, because people get all, feminazi on me. But it's not advised, because STDs, a lack of resources, there could be jealousy with the guy, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We can get into that too. Jealousy is not a bad thing. It is a mechanism made for these for mating strategies. There's no liability, meaning if you're hooking up with this guy and then you're hooking up with this guy, well, again, back then, way back then, you don't know whose kid it is. It could be one or the others. There's no security, because you're talking to 2 men. Now, when I say that, women are like, well, Elliot, you tell us to talk to guys all the time. That's a different story. That's if you're not dating the guys. That's if the guy's not committing. That's to create value. That's if I'm not telling you to hook up with a bunch of guys. I'm just saying keep your options open until this guy wants you to commit. Otherwise, he's just going to take advantage of you, because there's no urgency of you being pulled away because you're waiting around for him. Different story. But what was I saying? There's the stigma of being a slut or a hooch. No guy wants that for the most part. Now, I don't slut shame, but there's guys who do. They get jealous. And I truly believe that they get jealous because they aren't as experienced, or they don't have as many options, or as they're just not getting it like you are, right? So there's the stigma, there's STDs, there's jealousy, there's a lack of resources because you're not actually established with anyone, there's the chance of pregnancy, there's all these things on why you shouldn't do it. So with that being said, now the other strategy is, which was what women focus on from an evolutionary perspective, is the fact that, okay, well, if that's the case, then as a woman, I want security. I want loyalty. I want someone who can provide resources. I don't want someone who's, I want someone with trust. I don't want someone who I hook up with and they just start dancing around and go and bang other girls and stuff like that. But of course, that's the other mating strategy amongst humans is there's quantity and there's quality. When your job as an organism is to survive and reproduce, your chances of reproduction come in two ways. Of successful reproduction, growing offspring, passing it on, things like that, come in two ways. Two people staying together and raising a young, or a guy throwing his seed around and, it's quantity. The chances of several of them, going on success is greatly increased, okay? So, and that's one, and again, besides, now, of course, you can say, there's child support and stuff like that. But back then, there was no real threat besides STDs, for a guy to go around and spread his seed. A guy doesn't, sadly in society, a guy isn't looked at as a slut. He's looked at as a, as a player, or he's looked at as a, or he a ladies' man if he goes around and gets a bunch of women. He also doesn't get pregnant. So, the chance of him holding a kid for 9 months, the chance is zero, but him holding a kid for 9 months, being vulnerable, having to feed for 2, being slowed down, and vulnerable to predators, that shit's not going to happen to him like it is a woman. His status doesn't go down when he talks with a bunch of women, right? His status actually goes up. You can look at it in any form of, not any form, but a majority of mammals. That's just what happens. So with that being said, I tell women all the time that, I don't, not all the time, but when I talk to a lot of my clients, then we establish, okay, are you being needy, or is that just a normal sexual mating strategy? Okay, so then so the first thing I ask is, I need to look at it from a different perspectives. I look at it from a coaching perspective. I pull away and I think, okay, well, as a third person, this is what it looks like to me. It's a woman doing her normal mating strategy and a guy doing his. And if their values and mating number and all that lock, if he's wanting a relationship, if anyone's broken, I don't mean that in an offensive way. I just mean like not emotionally ready. Just because you want a relationship does not mean you're emotionally ready for one. And I look at, in terms of that. So then I look at her side first. So I'm like, okay, what's she doing? Is it normal? Sorry, behavior. It's early in the morning and I got a shitload of clients, so here we go. Is it normal behavior what she's doing? If it is, I'm like, okay, great. Now I look at his perspective, I ask as many questions about him as possible. Is he wanting a relationship? Did he just get out of one? Where did he meet you? Has he ever got cheated on? What's his history? How long was he divorced? All these kind of things. And if he, how old is he? That kind of stuff. And if it's not lining up, I tell the woman, well, it's not so much you. You're not doing so bad. It's the guy who's just not wanting a relationship. He's going about his mating strategy, which is he's probably in his 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, and he wants variety. He wants to play the field, and he's pulling away because he believes that you want a relationship. Which, if he's not ready for that, he's going to be very hesitant to comply, because if he keeps on complying and going down the road like he was, it's telling you he's on the same page when he's probably not. So he's going to pull away because he does not agree with your sexual strategy. Okay, listen, again, I said this already in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with you reaching out, initiating, texting, wanting to see the guy and things like that. It's only when it's taken either with extreme intensity or in a short period of time that it becomes a red flag, in my opinion. If you go from 1 date to 5 dates real fast in a week, that's going to freak someone out. If you go from texting all the time and you're doing that over week after week, month after month, eventually the gas is going to run out. That's just what happens. So with that being said, I don't think a lot of women are as needy as they come off. I think they just want the validation. And a lot of people think validation is weak. I don't. But a lot of women want the validation of, okay, where's this going? And again, I understand why you want that. And women will say, well, Elliot, you're contradicting yourself because you tell us to wait 2 months. And I do that because I don't think there's any reason to bring it up in the beginning. There's not. All relationships are basically created through attraction, right? Like a peacock, with his feathers, it's attractive. It doesn't just come up and say, hey, buddy, you want to hook up and have a relationship with me? No, they demonstrate what they have. And if it works out, it works out. Again, mating numbers or attractive numbers, and other things like that. Same with us. If you two are talking in the beginning, don't say I want a relationship, because he doesn't know if he wants it. Well, I mean, he probably does want a relationship, but he doesn't know if he wants one with you or not. Don't freak him out by saying that, because then he's going to be very hesitant to engage, because if he's engaging and he's not sure where he stands, he feels like he's going to lie to you. He's going to manipulate you. He's going to lead you down the wrong path. He's going to, and he's going to hit and quit. Whatever. Okay. Just focus on attraction. You focus on attraction, everything else falls in place. So that's why I say don't bring it up ever in the beginning. Now, with that being said, I do believe that a lot of women, believe it or not, don't come off as needy as they might presume because of the guy's actions. I just think the guy's on a different page. There's different mating strategies and age also. See, when you're higher up, in your 30s, 40s, and things like that, women do want a guy to tie down. And I don't mean that in a needy way. I just, they have the biological clock. A guy's biological clock doesn't really ever kick off. I mean, it does, but in his 50s, he can have kids just as if he was in his 20s. So I mean, if his I was gonna say wiener, but no one says wiener anymore. If his dick works, again, mating strategies. I understand why women do what they do, but of course, that's my way of thinking. A lot of men don't think of it like that. They don't think of it, okay, well, this girl's mating strategy is this because, well, back in the day, women needed loyalty and resources and structure and validation because they didn't want a guy to hit and quit it. And then they sit around being pregnant for 2, being vulnerable, being slowed down, being hungry, and not being able to, give or nurture this kid because of the life environments that take a toll on her without any protection, right? She has no protection, nothing like that. People don't think of it like that, but that's why girls do what they do today. Yeah, today we're a little more structured and we're a little more social and a little more modern, but we take the brains of past generations, hundreds and thousands of generations, all the way back into the past, right? So with that being said, ladies, I was all over the place, but I'm tired, so let me be, okay? I don't think you're as needy as people come off. Or some of you, yeah, probably. Again, if you have a session with me, I'll tell you straight up. I'm honest with it. There's needy tendencies, again, which if you, let me touch on this real fast, so let me get out of this, whatever this is. There's tendencies. Just because he thinks you're needy doesn't mean you are, and vice versa. Just because you don't think you are, he might think, okay, yeah, she's a little over the edge, she's a little intense. And I always think of, I have to think of it at 2 perspectives. I have to think of it as from your perspective, it's like, no, you're not doing anything wrong. But then I have to look at it at his, which is, okay, he probably thinks you are because you're doing X, Y, Z, and his opinion does matter in this situation because you're trying to get his approval. Right? If you're trying to date somebody, it's a negotiation. You're trying to prove yourself. He's proving himself to you, and you're proving yourself to him. That's like going to a dealership and saying, I want this car for $20,000. Car dealership, sorry. The car dealership guy is going to say, the salesman is going to say, well, no, I'm not sorry. I mean, I'm not going to give it to you for $20,000. It's $25,000. So no matter what you're doing, if the guy does not see it in that same light, or if the guy sees it in a different light and the guy's like, no, sorry, it's just not going to work out there. So I mean, if what you're doing triggers his red flags in his head, he's thinking, okay, I need to step back a little bit. Maybe to you it's not so bad, but to him he's thinking, okay, you know what? Fuck no. And that does matter because you're trying to win his perspective, or you're trying to win him over. You're trying to get his approval. That's what this is. It's a negotiation. Okay, so That being said, ladies, I love you. Take care. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Just click the red button below and the bell notification. And peace.